Hello there, and welcome to Uncut with Gina and Sukhdev. We're very, very pleased to welcome our guest today, and that's Margarita Mateva. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this program, this is a program and it's called Uncut for a very good reason. Neither of Sukhdev or I have a clue as to what we're going to meet today, other than the fact that we know that it's Margarita. And that's been the same with each of the guests. And so we're going to make a start, and I'm going to ask Margarita, what would you like to focus on today?
Hello.
Hi there.
I am currently qualifying as a coach, doing an online training, online platform. And I just overcame the barrier to start coaching, mini coaching, with friends and members of my family. But as I intend to do it as a business in the future, I would like to focus on actually defining my target market, my niche.
Okay.
So this is the goal I want to focus on today.
Okay. So can I ask you, why do you want to become a coach?
Because I would like to help people have happier lives, achieve their goals. And I think I can do that. And this would make myself happier. And
it's an interesting thing that, and I'd like to come back to this, if I may, that in order to help other people will make you happier. And I think that's something that we need to explore. But okay, so you want to help people, and people is a vast group of people. Yes? I don't know how many millions there are in the world, but there are a lot, billions of people. And so do you have any sense of what specifically, what sort of area, what problem that you can help people with?
So I would like to focus on well-being, nutrition, healthy lifestyle.
Okay, so again, we've narrowed it down. So you know your subject area, which is nutrition and well-being. This is being recorded, so you'll have an opportunity to have the notes. So rather than take notes, okay, I'm going to ask you if you really focus on what we're doing, because if you're trying to take notes, you can't think. And you have the opportunity to have the recording and go through it as many times as you want and capture the thinking behind it, okay?
Thank you.
So we know that you want to focus on nutrition and well-being, okay? But do you have a sense of whether that is for a particular gender, or a particular age group, or a particular background? Who would that be? Who are the people that you think to start with? And remember, this is not exclusive, but you focus on things to start with. Who initially do you think is most suited to your being able to help them?
I think to start with people over 50.
Okay. Men and women, or do you think you're more suited to one than the other? You don't have to be. I'm just asking these open-ended questions.
Yes. So I think it would be open to everybody.
So people over 50.
Yes.
Okay. And that's still a lot of people. Okay. And I've no doubt you probably could help everyone. But let's see if we can narrow that down. Okay. So are we talking about 50 to 100? Or are we talking about 50 to the age of 70? Or 50 to the age of 95? Where do you think your sweet spot would be? Age 50 to what?
Maybe 50 to 80.
50 to 80. Do you think that what you offer a 50-year-old is going to be the same as that you offer an 80-year-old?
No, because obviously there is a 30 years gap.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain common things in
Okay.
but also specific ones, age related.
So is there somewhere between 50 and 80 a watershed where you think that what you offer would change qualitatively?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So between the ages of 50 and the ages of 80, you said that the needs will change quite a lot. That's my understanding of what
Yes.
you said. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
So is there for you, and we're generalizing, but is there for you between the age of 50 and the age of 80, is there a watershed where actually the advice would be somewhat different to 50 to whatever than it would be from whatever to 80?
Can you clarify watershed?
Watershed means where you would change your advice, that there'll be still some commonality, some things which would be the same, but that your advice for people in their 50s, and this, I want you to come up with the ages, but let's, for example, say, let's put it into a different example, and then you tell me about the age group. So if I was talking about children,
right,
the needs of toddlers are different to the needs of preschoolers. And they're
correct.
different to those in elementary school, to those in secondary school and college.
Yes.
So although they're all children, and you would have a common thread of principles that would work throughout that time, there would be a different approach to those age groups. So I'm asking you, would you use the same approach between 50 and 80? Or would that approach need to change as people got older?
Maybe I would put them in groups 50 to 60, 60 plus
Okay.
60 to 70, 70 to 80, but I think I need to explore in depth the needs of each of these target groups, and probably also taking into consideration the gender, because that would be different. But still, I mean, the age is not the only criteria.
That as a starting point. But what I'm saying, part of this is about in terms of drilling down in terms of who you're going to start with as a niche.
Yes.
Just as a starting point,
yes.
It's quite useful to ask yourselves these questions. And if people are watching this who are wanting to start a business of any sort, part of it is actually recognizing who's your ideal client, and start with one. Because then when you write your marketing materials, when you create your website, when you create your writing of your blogs or whatever, then you can do it as if you're writing to the individual. And that's more meaningful when you watch it or read it. Doesn't mean you won't work with other age groups, but it's a starting point. And the problem is when you start off saying, I want to coach people and I want to make them happy, and there are how many billion of people on the planet, it's really hard then to actually create meaningful anything, because it's too general. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect. It makes perfect sense.
So I have no doubt that you will help people in their 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. But if you were to then say, well, okay, my first group is going to be 60 to 70, 50 to 65 or 50 to 70. But actually, when you've done your research, what I recognize is people who are in their 70s, their needs change during that And so I would need to alter the approach that I use, or at least my starting point with them. That then gives you an opportunity to market, to set things up in a slightly different way, which is meaningful to that age group. Because the danger is, if it's all lumped in together, people who are in their 70s may turn around to you and say, but I can't do what I did at 50, so this is not for me. Or people who are in their 50s say, well, I'm nowhere near 80 yet. I don't want to do stuff that old people do, because their view is that's a long way in the distance. So rather than have that situation, just suggesting that you might want to do your research and just break it down. And think about, what problems am I solving?
Okay, it makes perfect sense.
And that will help you really clarify who initially you want to start working with, or at least initially what you're putting it out into the universe, who you want to start working with. And of course, other people will find you. Remember, this is just the starting point. Got to start somewhere. Sukhdev, what do you think?
So the question I have first is, you know, okay, so we're looking at which niche, that's where you're having your struggles, to find which niche you're looking to coach. So, you know, it's 50s to 80s. Why not a 20-year-old? I'm just wondering why.
Probably because I'm in my late 50s, so I would feel comfortable working with people over 50. But why not a 20-year-old indeed?
Yeah. So it sounds like you have an idea of why you want to work with 50 to 80. So I'm just wondering what that real idea is. Like, there's got to be something there that makes you want to do that instead of like a 16-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, you know.
Because it is around my age group, and I know with our modern lifestyle, people eat really unhealthy, and stress and anxiety added to this. I mean, bad nutrition is the root of lots of problems that we create. It influences our lifestyle.
Okay, that's good. So you mentioned anxiety and stress. So you can relate to the anxiety and stresses from being 50 to 80, somewhere in that field. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your history? What sort of stresses and anxiety? What made you feel some stresses and anxieties in the past?
In the past?
Well, let's say in your 50s, or, you know.
Work related, but also family related.
Okay, that's good. So what from your work and family made you feel peace?
At work, sometimes too much pressure, too many tasks to do.
Okay.
So overwhelmed.
Yes, not being supported enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sort of things.
Yeah. And then how about for family?
Pardon?
How about for family?
Family. It is mainly problems that my children have. Never mind they're grown-up people, but as a mothers always worry about
Well-being.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, it's probably based on personal experience. I discovered Kundalini Yoga, and I'm currently doing the yogic green detox. I'm on greens for 40 days at the moment.
Yeah.
This is with Kundalini Yoga. I'm also researching a lot on nutrition, and I'm convinced that the most important step to our well-being is actually what we eat.
Yeah. Is that something that you found was helpful for you?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we broke it down to, you know, being a parent, and
Yeah.
and so maybe parental, and you tell me, what are you thinking now, since we come to this point? Like, what was there some sort of clarity that you received?
Yes. Yes. You ask me questions that I wouldn't ask myself, and it's yeah, it's helping a lot. It will trigger more questions, I'm sure.
Yes.
So I'll get there.
One of the things that strikes me is that you've mentioned nutrition, you've mentioned stress and anxiety, you've mentioned using strategies such as yoga, for example.
Yes.
And all of those come together to create great well-being, don't they?
Correct.
Now, I know from not only my own experience, but working with a lot of coaches, that one of the challenges is that there is this sense of I've got to include it all.
Mm-hmm.
My experience is that have a pathway or a series of pathways that people come in from different pathways, but ultimately you look at them as a whole being. But it's easy if there is a gate into working with you. Mm-hmm. So one gate may be nutrition. I help people between 50 and 65, for example, get great nutrition, make the best of their health, so that they can not only enjoy their working life, but they can look forward to a retirement full of health and vitality.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's great.
Now, if you try and I can do this and I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, my own experience is that what people do is they see all of these gates: nutrition, anxiety, stress, this, and this, and think, oh my goodness, I haven't got all of those. So they take a step back. Whereas if it's, I'm 50 and I know that my health is, you know, not as good as it could be, I want a healthy retirement. I don't want to be broken down physically by the time I'm 65. I need to sort my diet out. I know who I'll go to. There's this lady called Margarita, who really knows her stuff. I'll go through that gate.
Okay.
Or if you're 50 and between 50 and 65 and you're stressed about your family or stressed about your work, then I can help. Now, part of your strategy when you get them through the gate is I'm going to help them with their stress and anxiety. But in order to do that, we've got to look at your diet. Or we're looking at nutrition, but we've got to look at where are the stresses. Why are you eating? Are you a comfort eater, a boredom eater? Is it a habit? What's going on emotionally? Where's the stress that makes you eat? So whichever gate they come in, you look at them holistically, but you don't try to be all things to all men. Because inevitably, when somebody is presented in front of you, you deal with them, don't you? Them as a person, and whatever it is that person needs, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
But it doesn't actually matter which gate they've come through, because once they come through the gate, then you will help them and sort them out and work with them based on where they are now and where they want to be. Yeah? So I would
Thank you.
suggest to you that which of those do you think that you feel the most confident about being able to speak about on video, to write about, to present to people as here is a solution to your problem, and start with that. The other things will come in, but the starting point is you've got to start somewhere. And I think the danger is that you go into overwhelm because it's all too big and what am I going to do? But also the person on the receiving, or potentially the receiving end, gets overwhelmed because they think, well, I haven't got all of these, and so I won't take anything. Yeah,
it's something I have to think about, really. And you're right.
of course. So sorry, go on.
It has happened to me when I'm overwhelmed with information.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I initially like something, it's too much. I can't take it.
Yeah. And we live in a world that's full of white noise. We live in a world that's very busy, where we are bombarded through social media, through the media itself. Every quarter there's people bombarding us with, buy this, do this, don't do that. And part of this is being, if you like, a little oasis of calm. You know, let me offer you this, because that will help you deal with all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So see it, I find it useful to think about it as gateways in. What I'm also interested in, I'd like to, if it's okay with you, to explore, I want to coach, because in coaching I will be happier. And my question to you is, why can't you be happy whether or not you coach?
I have helped other people all my life in different ways. My background is in teaching for 20 years. Also supporting people with learning difficulties. So helping people does make me happy, gives me the feel of joy, fulfillment. What I like about coaching is the fact that we don't delve into the past. We are interested where we are now and where we want to go. And the role of the coach is to support the coachee to get from A to B faster and more effectively.
That I absolutely agree with. But let me ask you, on a day-by-day basis, how happy, how confident are you?
How happy I am. I'm happy with my current job, which is supporting people with learning difficulties, but I also want to explore coaching. Coaching is a skill which...
If you put your professional life to one side, on a scale of 1 to 10, you the person happy with you. I absolutely appreciate that you are a teacher, that you get huge pleasure and satisfaction, and quite rightly so, from helping others. But in yourself, how happy and confident are you? Does that come from that you feel happy when you're helping others? How do you feel about being you when you're not helping other people?
I'm happy when I'm doing things that I like, which is practicing yoga, reading on nutrition and applying it to my daily life, cooking healthy meals, visiting historical places, meeting new people and making friends.
All great stuff. I may be wrong, but I just get a sense that there is a well of unhappiness. And I could be wrong, but that's my sense check.
What makes you think?
Just, I'm intuitive. It's just the feeling I get, and I could be completely off the map, but I just get a sense that there is, for you at times, a sense of unhappiness. That might not be the right wording, but a sense that that things that you're dealing with some stuff.
I think where the question comes from is when you said you want to become a coach because it'll make you happier. Right? So there's something that from being a coach that's going to make you happier than you are now. So where's that gap, I guess? Could you touch on it? Like, do you think you could pinpoint it? Like, where that little difference would be?
Well, coaching is for people who want to achieve something.
Right.
It may not be the right intervention, the right approach for somebody, let's say, who is in clinical depression.
No.
It may even make the situation worse.
Sorry, go on.
So my point is working with people who want to achieve something, or help them to actually set their goal or goals.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't learn this at school, how to set goals.
One of the things that strikes me, Margarita, is that when we tie our professional success and helping other people, and I and Sukhdev both have we understand where you're coming from, because we were talking before this program started about how we both love working with people and seeing them grow and those aha moments.
And develop and achieve, yes.
But there is something that I think that's worth saying to you around the most important work that we have to do as coaches is the work we do on ourselves. And that being vulnerable, being open to our feelings, negative and positive, dealing with those makes us stronger coaches.
Thank you.
You make it about I'll be happier when I'm coaching other people, rather than I'm choosing to work on being happier and confident in myself. And as a result of that, I'll be a better coach. I'll be able to help people more because I'll have done that journey. And it won't be about looking out to help other people. It's I'm looking in, working on me. And then as a result, like a flower blossoms, then I can help people in a bigger way. And that's something that I'm just offering to you for you to think about within the program, but also most importantly, when the program's over.
Thank you. Thank you. I got your point.
Yeah. So we've given you some suggestions in terms of how you might narrow down your niche. Okay, you're doing this coaching program. What would help you, and this is about you at a personal level, what would help you get the most out of your course and get the most out of the process of learning to be a coach, so you can be the best coach you can be? How can we help you?
You already helped me by asking questions, and that you underlined the most important thing is to work on yourself, on your own well-being, thus helping others. This is the most important thing I got from.
Okay. You know, when you're on an airplane, they say to you, if there's a problem, the oxygen mask will come down.
Right.
What do they say to you on a plane about that oxygen mask? That if it does come, you do need oxygen, what do they tell you to do first?
They tell you to naturally put on your own mask first and then help others.
Yeah.
Because if you start doing the opposite, helping others, you're gonna die.
And I think one of the problems for coaches, many coaches go into overwhelm and burnout because they get a huge amount of satisfaction and sense of self-worth through helping other people, and they make everybody else the priority, but they don't do that deep dive inner work themselves. And so the way I explain it is, if you imagine this glass and I've got a jug, okay? So the jug's here, I've got the glass and I can start to drink. If I did nothing but drink out of the glass, what would happen very quickly if I just kept drinking?
So the glass will be empty.
The glass will be empty. But if I've got a jug or a tap, and that tap is that I fill the glass up to the top, and what happens when it gets to the top if I still keep filling it?
Overflows.
It overflows. And so one of the best bit of advice I can give to anybody who's working with other people as a coach or in any capacity is, fill yourself up first and use the overflow for other people. Because if you do that, you will never run dry.
Thank you. It's a great lesson, Gina. Thank you ever so much.
You're very welcome. But I do think it's really important that you think about that, and that you know that you do that, some of that work on you, while and use the coaching opportunity, the training to do that. So it's a really great opportunity to do that deep work. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sukhdev, have you any questions that you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how do you feel about your niche now? Like, have you been able to narrow it down a little bit?
Well, to a certain extent, but I think you helped me to channel my thinking and asking more and more questions how to do it. And also what Gina just said, working on myself is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So it helped. It helped a lot. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. One thing I notice is like us as human beings, when we really think about it, we're always doing research on ourselves. So you're talking about the stresses and things like that you're feeling, and you found ways of coping with those stresses.
Yeah.
right? So that was
Yes.
yoga and a few of the like nutrition and things like that. So those are going to be in your toolbox when you're coaching. So those are going to be tools that helped you, and you can share your experience and the things that helped you with the other people, with the people you're coaching. So just keep that in mind, because that'll, when you're finding your niche, you're going to be able to pull those tools out because they're your personal experience and things that helped you in achieving your goals and achieving your getting rid of the stresses, and helping you as a parent with your crazy kids and stuff like that. so just keep that in mind, because we're always like Gina was saying, it's our job to always learn and focus on ourselves and grow, and it's that overflow is what we're going to be helping others with. So those are just some little, think of them as tools in your toolbox.
I was given a great piece of advice this week. I practice what I preach. I've always got a coach and a mentor on the go, even though I've been coaching now for pretty well 30 years. Okay.
Well done.
Thank you. So, but it's really important, I think, that I actually keep on board the things that I say to people. You don't need to be in trouble to have a coach. A coach is about helping you be your best self. Okay. And my best self today is not going to be, I hope, the same as my best self in a few months' time, because I'll have continued to do the work on myself. I'm constantly growing. Life is a whole learning operation. But the bit of advice I was given, and it's really clever, I think. And the advice was, be the journalist of your own life. Now, what they meant was, if you think about journalists reporting on politicians or the royal family or a sports team, they examine all of the patterns of behavior. They examine what they wear, what they eat, where they go, who they mix with. They are looking for the story, aren't they?
Yes.
And we're all very good at doing it for other people, with other people. But what most of us fail to do is to really examine the patterns within our own lives, the issues. And it's so easy to imagine that because, there are lots of good things going on, that there isn't work to still be done. And it's not about that that things are terrible, but it's about how do you make things even better. And that's that constant iteration where you become the better version of you that you were today, that tomorrow is a better version because you've learnt more, because you have opened up more, and so on. 95% of what we think, say and do is habitual, doesn't cross our conscious mind. But when you start to be the journalist in your own life, you start to observe in a very different way, not in a judgmental way, not to say, oh, that's terrible, not to give that voice in your head power to be negative, but just, that's interesting. Why is it I do that? Or is that the best way I can do things? Can I take this and do this in a different way? So I'm going to give you a challenge. And my challenge to you is, start to be the journalist in your own life.
Thank you.
Okay? Start to work on you, because then when you have solved the problem for you, you are in an amazing situation where you can use those insights, experience, expertise to really help other people.
Thank you. Has to do with the law of attraction and neuro-linguistic programming.
Very much, yeah. Yes, it is. I mean, if you look at neuroscience now, they know that the brain has plasticity, it can learn throughout your life, where at one time it was thought, when you got to 21, it was all downhill because your brain cells were dying off, okay? But if you want neuroplasticity, you want to be able to learn, you have to use it. You have to practice learning new things, being open to new things. Because otherwise, your brain atrophies and it dies. Yeah? And you don't want that.
Yeah, thank you.
So any questions you'd like to ask us, you've got us. If there's any questions you'd like to ask us about coaching or life or whatever, now's your opportunity.
Well, I discovered Creative Discovery Group through an event on UK
Eventbrite?
National Career Service. Yeah, it was on National Career Service. That's how I learned about Creative Discovery Group, and it's a great platform.
So for people who may be listening to this who are not familiar with it, what has that meant to you, and what are you getting out of being part of that group?
The initiatives Creative Discovery Group support in Africa. Also the fact that the Creative Discovery Group is a hub for coaches from all over the world. And that's what makes it great. Also, the training that you offer,
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend to friends and acquaintances and everybody who is interested, because you give the opportunity for real coaching.
Right. That's important, isn't it? That it actually is live and real.
Yeah, it is important to learn theory and approaches such as the GROW approach and other approaches. But real life coaching, frontline coaching is the best experience.
It is indeed. Well, you have the
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Pardon?
You have the master here. I mean, he's founded the organisation, so it's something that's actually relatively new to me. I didn't know of it until I met Sukhdev, but it sounds really great.
Yes, and also the fact, as I said, lots of it's a hub for coaches from all over the world, coaching in different areas.
Brilliant.